Baking soda might seem like a harmless product, but the truth is that it can pose significant health risks, especially when used regularly or in high quantities. Let's break down some of the hidden Dan when you open that box of baking soda. Especially when it's being used as a powder for cleaning, there's a good chance that you're inhaling some of it. If you've ever sprinkled baking soda on carpets or used it to scrub surfaces, you've likely breathed in some particles. While the occasional puff of baking soda may not seem harmful, prolonged inhalation of fine powder particles can lead to respiratory problems. Repeated exposure can result in coughing, wheezing, and irritation of the respiratory tract. In severe cases, it could even lead to lung damage. Baking soda is often used in personal care products like deodorants, toothpaste, and facial scrubs. While it may seem gentle, baking soda can be abrasive and cause skin irritation. Over time, frequent use of products containing baking soda may lead to dryness, redness, and irritation, especially for those with sensitive skin. The alkalinity of baking soda can also disrupt the natural pH balance of your skin, leading to further issues like acne or eczema flare-ups. Although it's generally safe to ingest small amounts of baking sodas, such as when it's used in recipes ingesting large quantities, or using it as a supplement, can have harmful effects. High doses of baking soda can lead to sodium overload, which can strain the kidneys, raise blood pressure, and cause other health complications like headaches, nausea, and vomiting. In extreme cases, consuming too much baking soda can lead to a condition called metabolic alkalosis, a dangerous imbalance in the body's pH levels that can cause muscle spasms and even There's another hidden risk that many people don't consider when they use baking soda in personal care products or as a supplement: its effects on kidney and heart health. When too much sodium bicarbonate enters the bloodstream, it can disrupt electrolyte balance, affecting your kidneys and heart. People with pre-existing kidney or heart conditions are especially vulnerable, as their bodies may have a harder time processing the excess sodium. This can lead to kidney damage or high blood pressure. Household staples. Baking soda stands out as an all-in-one solution for everything from cleaning to personal care. It's been a go-to product for decades, touted for its versatility and affordability. However, in recent years, people are starting to rethink their loyalty to certain brands, particularly Arm & Hammer. This shock revelation has led many to reconsider what they've been using in their homes and on their skin. You'd be surprised by the hidden ingredients, questionable practices, and even health risks lurking in some baking soda products. In this eye-opening exploration, we'll reveal the shocking truth behind some of the most popular baking soda brands and why, for health, wellness, and environmental reasons, we might want to reconsider which ones we choose. Here's why I'll never use Arm & Hammer again, and why you should be cautious when reaching for your next box of baking soda. Baking soda's popularity. A household essential, the ubiquity of baking soda. The benefits: it has been marketed for cleaning, personal care, deodorizing, etc. What's inside the box? Ingredients and sourcing: a breakdown of the common ingredients in baking soda products. Potential contaminants and how they might affect health. The sourcing process of baking soda: why it matters. Why I'll never use Arm & Hammer again. A deeper look, the controversy surrounding Arm & Hammer's sourcing and production, potential chemical residues and impurities in their baking soda, claims of unsustainable practices and their environmental impact, how these issues affect human health in both short and long terms, the hidden dangers, health risks you didn't know about, medical concerns related to impurities in baking soda, the risks of inhalation, skin irritation, and ingestion, issues with long-term exposure, how certain ingredients can build up in the body, what's really in your baking soda, decoding the labels, common additives, and artificial chemicals often found in baking soda, why many brands won't disclose the full list of ingredients, the need for transparency in consumer products, and what to watch out for. Alternatives to Arm & Hammer, healthier baking soda brands, a closer look at brands that offer safer, cleaner baking soda options. Sustainable and environmentally conscious brands. What makes these alternatives better for health, hygiene, and the environment? Environmental impact of baking soda brands, the carbon footprint of different baking soda manufacturers, the ecological effects of mining and production, what companies are doing right to ensure sustainable practices, the case for organic and eco-friendly baking soda, why organic baking soda might be a better choice, how to identify brands that use non-toxic, eco-friendly ingredients, the importance of supporting ethical brands, customer reviews and consumer feedback, a roundup of consumer experiences with different brands, why customer reviews matter in choosing a brand you can trust, stories from people who made the switch and their health improvements, conclusion, making the right choice for you and your family, recap of the main health and environmental risks associated with popular baking soda brands, how to make an informed decision for your home, health, and environment, encouraging mindfulness when selecting products that touch our everyday lives. There's something we all have in common. Box of baking soda sitting somewhere in our homes, waiting to clean, freshen, and even save the day in the kitchen. But what if I told you that one of the most common baking soda brands has been hiding something you never expected? For years, Arm & Hammer has been the brand you trusted for its supposed purity and multi-purpose use. But recent discoveries about its sourcing and manufacturing processes have shaken my faith in it and should make you reconsider. 2. I'll be honest, I was just like you. I trusted Arm & Hammer. It was the go-to in my house for everything from scrubbing away tough stains to freshening my fridge and even brushing my teeth. It seemed harmless, even beneficial. But what I learned when I dug deeper into its practices left me with a bad taste in my mouth. Literally. The fact is, we've all been misled into thinking that this brand was as pure as the white powder it peddled. It's not just about the chemical process. It's about what we're really ingesting when we buy into these so-called all-natural products. At first glance, baking soda seems like one of those simple, innocuous products that couldn't possibly cause harm. It's just sodium bicarbonate, right? But if you take a closer look, you'll realize there's more to it than meets the eye. While baking soda is often marketed as a pure, natural product, the reality is that the ingredients inside the box may not be as straightforward as you think. Let's start with the basics. The primary ingredient in most baking sodas is sodium bicarbonate, NaCos, a white, crystalline powder. This compound itself is considered generally safe for various household uses. It's odorless, has no taste, and dissolves easily in water. Its versatility has made it a staple in kitchens, bathrooms, and cleaning cabinets around the world. However, here's where the red flags start to appear. Sodium bicarbonate, as it's found in the box, often isn't pure to make the product more affordable and accessible. Many brands, including Arm & Hammer, rely on a process called the Solvay process. This industrial method involves mixing sodium carbonate soda ash, water, and carbon dioxide, which then results in sodium bicarbonate. Now, let's talk about impurities. The Solvay process itself often leads to traces of heavy metals like lead, arsenic, and mercury being present in the final product. These impurities can pose significant risks to your health over time. Even trace amounts of these chemicals, particularly when ingested or inhaled, can cause serious medical issues like respiratory problems, neurological damage, and other health complications. You might be thinking, but these amounts are tiny. Surely they can't be harmful. Unfortunately, the problem with these contaminants is that they build up in your body over time, especially if you're using baking soda regularly. While a one-off exposure may not have a noticeable impact, repeated use, particularly in an environment where you're frequently inhaling the powder or applying it to your skin, can lead to chronic health issues. These heavy metals aren't easily flushed out of the body, so the more you expose yourself to them, the more you risk long-term damage. Another concern: the sourcing of the raw materials used to create baking soda. Arm & Hammer, for example, sources its sodium bicarbonate primarily from natural sources like mines. While natural sourcing might sound appealing at first glance, it has its own set of problems. Mining operations can cause significant environmental damage, contributing to soil erosion, habitat destruction, and even water contamination. So, when you buy that affordable box of baking soda, you might also be unknowingly supporting unsustainable mining practices that harm the environment. But there's more. Many brands, Arm & Hammer included, use large amounts of energy during their production processes. Adding to the carbon footprint of these products, it's not just about the product in the box. It's the environmental toll that goes along with getting it to your home. If you care about reducing your environmental impact and supporting ethical companies, it's essential to consider how the products you use are made and where their materials come from. Now that we've established the potential risks hiding in baking soda products, let's take a closer look at the brand that many of us have trusted for years, Arm & Hammer. This brand has dominated the baking soda market for decades, and it's likely the first product that comes to mind when you think of this household essential. While Arm & Hammer has been praised for its low price point and widespread availability, it's also come under fire in recent years for several reasons, some of which could be cause for concern, particularly when it comes to health and environmental issues, as mentioned earlier. Arm & Hammer sources its sodium bicarbonate from natural soda ash deposits. The problem? The mining process is highly energy-intensive and disruptive to ecosystems. The extraction of soda ash can damage landscapes, and create hazardous waste that can seep into local water supplies. If you care about sustainability and minimizing your environmental footprint, supporting a brand that contributes to such practices isn't the best choice when you purchase Arm & Hammer baking soda. You're not just getting sodium bicarbonate. You're potentially also getting trace amounts of heavy metals and chemical residues. These contaminants are byproducts of the mining and production processes and can include substances like arsenic, lead, and mercury. Over time, these chemicals can accumulate in your system, especially if you use baking soda for a variety of purposes from cleaning to personal care. Arm & Hammer's parent company, Church & Dwight, has been criticized for its lack of transparency regarding the sourcing and production of its products. While Arm & Hammer claims its baking soda is made with pure ingredients, it doesn't disclose much about the process that goes into making the final product. For consumers who care about ethical sourcing and sustainability, this lack of transparency is a red flag. Additionally, Arm & Hammer has been linked to animal testing practices, a controversial topic for many people who prefer cruelty-free products. The company's parent, Church & Dwight, has historically used animal testing in some of its product.